Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss 2018 question paper. So yesterday we looked at till 2019 question paper specifically of ancient history, art and culture. So now we are going to read the first question which was asked in 2018. So let's read it. This is a question which is about festivals and musical traditions of India, and they are asking you consider the following pairs: tradition, and you have to match it with the state. So Chhapchar Koot Festival, Mizoram, Khongzom Prabha Ballet, Manipur, and Thangta dance that has been given with Sikkim. So here when we are looking at it, Chhapchar Koot festival is a festival which is celebrated in the state of Mizoram during the month of March. So it is celebrated after they have completed their cycle of Jhum cultivation. So Jhum cultivation, again you must have studied about it. It is a tribal way of cultivation of land. So they celebrate it in the state of Mizoram. So our first option here is correctly matched. Now let's look at the second option. When we are looking at the second option, Khongzom Prabha Ballet, that has been given with Manipur. So again, this is a traditional musical art. When we talk about ballet, it is a musical art form in which you tell a story, a very long story while singing. So when we are talking about this particular ballet, it is a musical tradition and sung with drums and other musical instruments, and it depicts a story of how people of Manipur fought against British in April 1891. So again, when you study your modern Indian history, you study about a lot of battles fought in northeastern regions of India as well against British East India Company and later British Empire. So here it is a story of one such battle that is sung. So that is again correctly matched. Now our third statement here is Thangta dance Sikkim. So it is not a dance form from Sikkim. It is a martial art in dance itself. When we study our Indian dance, there we study classical dance and folk dances. So there we also study this martial art form of dancing that is from Manipur. So that is again that is here not correctly matched. So what they are asking, which of the pairs given above are correct? So B will be our answer, 1 and 2. Now coming to the next question, with reference to cultural history of India, consider the following statements. First, most of the Tyagaraja Kirtis are devotional songs in praise of Lord Krishna. Tyagaraja created several new ragas. Annamacharya and Tyagaraja are contemporaries. Annamacharya Kirtan are devotional songs in praise of Lord Venkateshwara. And they are asking which of the following statements given are correct. So here again, see, they are talking about devotional songs related to bhakti. Now, when we are looking at this question, there are two individuals whose names have been given, and they are asking you details about them. First, let's be very clear about the chronology. When we are talking about Tyagaraja, we are talking about 18th, 19th century. So from 1767 to 1847, that is the time period of Tyagaraja. Now when we talk about Annamacharya, the time period is 1408 to 1503. So mostly 15th century. So obviously they are not going to be contemporaries. So this particular statement, third statement, stands wrong here, because one is belonging to 15th century and the second is belonging to 18th, 19th century. So let's read the other statements again. Most of the Tyagaraja Kirtis are devotional songs in praise of Lord Krishna. So he is somebody who used to write in the praise of Lord Ram, a Vaishnavite, but not for Krishna, for Ram. So he was a Carnatic composer and he used to compose verses in Telugu language in praise of Lord Ram. So this statement is wrong. Tyagaraja created several new ragas, that is a very true statement. He was somebody who was very proficient at music, and he did create a lot of ragas. So that is the right statement. Third statement we have seen, it is wrong. Annamacharya Kirtans are devotional songs in the praise of Lord Venkateshwara. Again, this is a right statement. It was in the praise of Lord Venkateshwara, a form of Vishnu itself. So this is a right statement. He was also a Carnatic composer. Okay, so this is also right. There we also have an additional information, a Carnatic composer. So which of these statements is given above are correct? B will be our answer, 2 and 4 only. Okay, now let's move to the next question. With reference to the cultural history of India, consider the following statements. First, white marble was used in making Buland Darwaza and Khankah at Fatehpur Sikri. Second, red sandstone and marble were used in making Bada Imambara and Rumi Darwaza in Lucknow. Which of the following statements given above are correct? So let's look at the statements again. White marble was used in making Buland Darwaza and Khankah at Fatehpur Sikri. We are talking about the city of Fatehpur Sikri, and here the building of it is credited to Akbar. If you want to be very precise with the year, 1602. So Fatehpur Sikri was also one of the Mughal capitals. When we talk about Akbar, he ruled from Agra, he ruled from Fatehpur Sikri, he ruled from Lahore. So the capital was changing over time. Now, when he is building Fatehpur Sikri, so there are a lot of architectural marvels present in Fatehpur Sikri. If you go there, you will find this Buland Darwaza, you will find Khankah, you will find Panch Mahal, you will find Mariam-uz-Zamani's palace. So all these structures are part of Fatehpur Sikri. What do we mean by a Khankah? Khankah is abode of a Sufi, a place where the Sufi saint resides. So that is the meaning of Khankah. It is a term associated with Sufism. So again, we have been discussing it, how UPSC is asking a lot of questions on terms as well. So you should know meanings of these terms as well. Now, we know that Akbar is the one who is credited with the building of Fatehpur Sikri, and there they are asking you about two prominent structures, Buland Darwaza and Khankah. So what are they made of? They have written white marble was used in making. So this is a wrong statement because red and buff sandstone was used in the making. So when we are talking about making of Buland Darwaza and Khankah at Fatehpur Sikri, it is written here that white marble was used as the construction material. When we look at it, red and buff sandstone was used as construction material. When we are looking at decoration, there white and black marble is present as decorative materials. So this is going to be a wrong statement because the primary construction material is red and buff sandstone. Now let's look at the second statement. They have written red sandstone and marble was used in making Bada Imambara and Rumi Darwaza in Lucknow. So here we are talking about Lucknow, we are talking about successor states. You must have studied the decline of Mughal Empire, and with that we study coming of successor states in Awadh, in Hyderabad, in Bengal. So there you find that there is Nawab Asaf-ud-Daula of Awadh, who constructed Bada Imambara and Rumi Darwaza in 1784. So Lucknow had become the cultural capital of Awadh. That you must have studied. So when we are talking about these two structures present in the city of Lucknow, they are not made of red sandstone and marble, they are made of bricks. So again, this statement also stands wrong. Just write the factual detail here: constructed by Asaf-ud-Daula, Nawab of Awadh. Constructed by Asaf-ud-Daula, Nawab of Awadh in 1784. The construction material which was used, was bricks. So here when we look at the statement, which of the following statements given above are correct? Neither one nor two. D is going to be our answer. Now coming to the next question, this we have already discussed when I was talking about the when we were talking about Buddhism and I told you about Bodhisattva, there only I talked about it. With reference to Indian history, who among the following is a future Buddha yet to come to world to save it? Okay, that is the question. So they are asking you who is the future Buddha who is going to come to save the world. What are the options which are given? Avalokiteshvara, Lokeshvara, Maitreya, and Padampani. See, we have been discussing about it that UPSC asks a lot of questions from Buddhism, and we are looking at 2018 question paper, and here also questions from Buddhism have been asked. So here they are asking you about Bodhisattva. What is the meaning of Bodhisattva? We discussed in yesterday's class only that Bodhisattva is a being who has the capability to achieve nirvana but holds it to help other people reach that stage. It is in when we are talking about this particular philosophy, it's part of Mahayana sect of Buddhism because they are the ones who are deifying the Buddha. They are the ones deifying Buddha, and there is going to emerge the Bodhisattva idea as well. Now there are various Bodhisattva. Again, you must have studied about it. Here they have asked you about 4, and the answer is going to be Maitreya Buddha, that is future Buddha. We talked about it yesterday as well. Laughing Buddha is one way of representing Maitreya Buddha. That is one way of representing Maitreya Buddha, not the only way. That is also something that you need to remember. Now, when we're talking about these 3, Avalokiteshvara, Lokeshvara, Padampani, is there a difference? This is the Buddha of future, Maitreya Buddha. When we are talking about Avalokiteshvara, Lokeshvara, Padampani, more or less they are the same. Why am I saying that? Again, you must have studied it in your GS classes that Buddha Avalokiteshvara, that is Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, that is Buddha or Bodhisattva of compassion. So when we are talking about Lokeshvara also, when we are talking about Padampani also, the idea of compassion is associated with that. When you talk about Padampani, in Deccan you know this Bodhisattva as Padampani Buddha. When we are talking about Avalokiteshvara, this is more prominent in northern regions, or if you go to China, that is more prominent. The name Avalokiteshvara is more prominent there. Again, Buddha of compassion holding a lotus flower in hand. Here another name, remember another name, Tara Buddha. When you go to Tibet, Tara Buddha, or Tibet or some parts of China, Tara Buddha becomes important. And Tara Buddha or Bodhisattva, again a form of Avalokiteshvara itself. When we are talking about Lokeshvara, so Lokeshvara is a form which is prominent in some parts of China and Thailand. Again, a Bodhisattva of compassion holding a lotus. So these are in a way identical to each other except Maitreya Buddha. So you should write these things simultaneously. Now let's come to the next question. The well-known painting Bani Thani belongs to the Bundi school, Jaipur school, Kangra school, Kishangarh school. So when we are talking about painting traditions, so there we study painting traditions from ancient India to medieval India. We come to Mughal paintings, we talk about miniature paintings, then we go to Rajput paintings and a lot of other miniature paintings in different parts of India. Here they are asking you about a painting tradition from Rajasthan, and they have given you 4 options: Bundi school, Jaipur school, Kangra school, which is famous in the state of Himachal Pradesh, and again they have asked you Kishangarh school. The right answer here is Kishangarh school. It's a very basic question that has been asked. Bani Thani painting style is very famous from Rajasthan. When we are talking about Bani Thani, she was a singer and she was a composer in the court of Raja Savant Singh from Kishangarh in 18th century. So here, if you talk about the timeline of Raja Savant Singh, 1748 to 64. So they fell in love and eventually they got together. And when you talk about Bani Thani and Raja Savant Singh, what is... Yeah, come. So we are discussing 2018 question paper, question number 5. Okay, just open it, then we'll continue. (2018). I think the message reached late. The message of this class reached late to the students. So here we are discussing the well-known Bani Thani painting. Which school did it belong to? So what we are talking about when we are looking at painting tradition, you will find painting tradition from ancient India itself, from Upper Paleolithic period to Mesolithic, and then there are various dynasties who have patronized painting styles. And you come to Mughals, you see miniature paintings, and then that painting is also, that style is also adapted by a lot of regional states. So their miniature painting style developed. Apart from that, they also had their own painting styles, and one of the very famous painting styles from Rajasthan is Bani Thani painting. Okay, so when we are talking about Bani Thani, she was a singer and a poet in the court of Raja Savant Singh. The time period of Raja Savant Singh is 1748 to 64. So we are talking roughly about 18th century. Now they fell in love and eventually they got together, and to celebrate their love story, these paintings have been made in the area of Rajasthan, specifically pertaining to Kishangarh school of painting. And in these paintings you will see that Bani Thani is portrayed as Radha and Savant Singh is portrayed as Krishna. So they became a symbol of love in that area, and it became a very prominent painting tradition. So this was a very basic question. You should mark it as Kishangarh. Now, with reference to the religious practices in India, the Sthanakvasi sect belongs to Buddhism. Yes, Bundi, Jaipur, they are in Rajasthan. When we talk about Kangra, that is in Himachal Pradesh. Yes. So let's look at the next question. With reference to the religious practices in India, the Sthanakvasi sect belongs to Buddhism, Jainism, Vaishnavism, Shaivism. Jainism. So what are the sects present in Jainism? Do you know about it, or do we need to elaborate upon it? नहीं पता? चलें इसको लिख लें, because see, when we are talking about sects in Buddhism also, you saw that they are going into a lot of detail. So when we talk about Jainism, prominently we know Digambar and Shwetambar. There you find V also, W also, both the spellings are correct. Digambar and Shwetambar. This is the basic division, and there we know, when we study Mauryan period, we also know that there was a split. From there only we talk about Bhadrabahu and Sthulbahu, and the split had happened. Now when we are talking about Digambar and Shwetambar, later also a lot of subsects developed. So just write about it. When we are talking about Digambar, I'll just dictate it. What are the sects? Moola Sangha. Moola Sangha in Digambar. Tera Panth, Terapantha. Taran Panth, Taran Panth. Taran Panth. Bisa Panth, Bisa Panth. Now come to Shwetambar, Murti Pujak. Murti Pujak. So here we know that these people, Digambars, were believing that in only 4 vows. They were also, when we are talking about these people, these are the people who are also believing that one should not wear clothes. They used to believe that women cannot achieve Kaivalya. When we are talking about Shwetambar, that is not the problem. They are wearing white clothes. So that is something we know. They believe that women can also achieve Kaivalya. Now here you will find that when they are worshipping, they are using, so see, the whole debate will come around which material can you use in worshipping. Can you use, let's say, milk? Because they are focusing too much upon the idea of non-violence. तो जब आप मिल्क को यूज कर रहे हैं तो मिल्क आप किसी के हक का यूज कर रहे हैं, तो क्या वो हम कर सकते हैं या नहीं? तो इन सब माइनर चीजों को लेकर के कई सारे डिफरेंसेस आपको देखने मिलेंगे. सो देयर इज वन मूर्ति पूजक, सेकंड स्थानकवासी, एंड थर्ड इज तेरा पंथिन. दिगंबर में हमको तेरा पंथ, श्वेतांबर में है तेरा पंथिन. ओके, इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ जैनिज्म रिमेंबर दिस मच, क्योंकि जैनिज्म से इतने सवाल नहीं पूछे जाते हैं जितने बुद्धिज्म से पूछे जाते हैं. यू मस्ट हैव सीन, एक यहाँ पे सवाल पूछा है, लिटरेचर में पूछ रहे हैं, फिलोसफी में सेक्ट में आपको 23 में फिर वापस सवाल आया है, जो इस साल का पेपर है, बेसिक फिलोसफी ऑफ नॉन वायलेंस पे. So here our answer is going to be Jainism. Okay, when we are talking about Buddhism, we have looked at their subsects already. Now let's जी, वो तो डिफरेंट है जी. Now 2017. So here one question. So here, see, when we are going back, you will see that there are other kind of questions which are also being asked. 19 के बाद का जो पैटर्न है वो काफी ज्यादा डिफरेंट है. वो जो हमने चार आपको बताए, चार themes, they are revolving more or less around that only. Here you will also see that there are other questions also which were being asked. In the first class itself, we had discussed these things, that when they are asking you about Harappan civilization, they'll ask you about differences in Harappans and Aryans, and this question is belonging to that category only. So we have come to 2017. Let's read the first question. With reference to the difference between the culture of Rigvedic Aryans and Indus Valley people, which of the following statements are correct? Again, pertaining to culture, how their culture differed from each other. Let's read the statement. Rigvedic Aryans used the coat of mail and helmet in warfare, whereas the people of Indus Valley civilization did not leave any evidence of using them. Is this the right statement? So it was basically a peaceful society. There you find tools, not weapons. So weapons are not present, tools are present. What is the coat of mail? So that is an armor, okay, and they are also using helmet. So these people did use coat of mail, that is an armor, and helmet in warfare, whereas people of Indus Valley civilization, we do not find evidences of using them. Here what do we know? That these are peaceful people when we are talking about Harappans. And on what basis are we saying that? Because we don't find weapons present in the civilization. We find implements, we find tools. So this seems to be largely a society which was a trade-based society. So these are also additional factors that you should know. So this is a right statement. Now let's come to the second statement. Rigvedic Aryans knew gold, silver and copper, whereas Indus Valley people knew only copper and iron. Is this statement correct? When we are talking about Indus Valley people, they did not know of iron. So of course this statement stands incorrect. When we are talking about Aryans, they are knowing these metals. Okay, we find the terms used for them. Shataman, Ayas, these are the terms that you find. Krishna, Ayas. When we are talking about Indus Valley people, they knew of copper, they knew of bronze, but they did not know of iron. They also knew of silver. So you also find evidences of oldest silver, but they are not knowing about iron. So this statement is wrong. That we don't exactly know because it has not been found. Okay, so probably they did not know about it. But what is sure that they did not know about iron at all. Now, coming to the third statement, Rigvedic Aryans had domesticated the horse, whereas there is no evidence of Indus Valley people having been aware of this animal. What about this statement? Yes. So when we are talking about Rigvedic Aryans, we know that their society revolved around cows and horses. These two animals are very prominent. Cow is a very sacred animal for them, and horse was a very desirable animal for them. Why? Because of the warfare. When we are talking about Indus Valley people, there is only one evidence from Surkotda, and that is also debated whether that is a remain of a horse or of a donkey. So that is debated. Think about it. When we are talking about Harappan civilization, its geographical extent is present day 1/3 of India's geography. It is that vast, and there is only one site from where we find an evidence, and even that is not very sure. We are not sure whether it's a donkey or whether it's a horse. Most of the scholars are tilted towards that being a remain of a donkey. So that is something which can be debated, but if you look at it logically, it seems that they did not know about horses. And when UPSC also released its key, UPSC also went with this particular statement only, that Indus Valley people did not know of horses. Okay. So this third statement is going to be a right statement, and by that logic, which of the codes are correct? 1 and 3 only. So C is going to be our right answer. Now this is also an arena which is very important when we are talking about Harappans and Rigvedic Aryans and their culture. Specifically, if you look at mains question paper, there these two topics have been repeatedly asked. So you should know about their culture in a very proper manner. What is the difference between the two? Why it is debated that they were not the same people? What are the theories associated with it? Did Aryans invade Harappans or did they migrate? Are they a cultural identity or are they a racial identity? It becomes important in world history as well. The idea of Aryan race, because the whole philosophy of whole Nazism idea was based on racial identity. So you should be very clear about all these debates which were going on in 20th century. Okay, so I hope you are aware with that. Malum hai, we can proceed further. Okay. Chalo, let's read the second statement. With reference to the religious history of India, consider the following statements. Sautrantika and Sammitya were the sects of Jainism. They are the sects of Buddhism. We discussed the sects of Buddhism. Where can we fit these sects? क्या हमने डिस्कस किया था? कल की क्लास में थे आप? So Theravada, Mahasanghika. We discussed that, and then we discussed Theravada and Mahasanghika. Theravada से हमने फिर क्या डिस्कस किया था? हीनयान. हीनयान से what did we discuss? Thavirvad and Sarvasti Vadin. So Sautantrika is a subset of Saravasti Vadin. उसके आगे ही करके लिख लीजिए, उसमें जहां पे वो लिखा है ना सारवस्ती वादन के आगे. उसके आगे इनका फिलॉसफी निकला था. Then the second one is Sammitya. When we are talking about Sammitya, it came out of Theravada. महासंघिका में आपको याद है, महासंघिका से हमने डिस्कस किया था एक लोकोत्तरवादन और एक हमने डिस्कस किया था महायान. When we are talking about Theravada, one will be Heenayan and one will be Sammitya. So there write it. Be clear about the sects and subsects of Buddhism because they are being repeatedly asked. हाँ, Thavirvad, हाँ, हाँ. See, when we are talking about the division in second council, what happened? Theravada and Mahasanghika. This is something which is happening. From here we see the philosophy of Heenayan, and from here we see the philosophy of Mahayana. From here only we also saw that Lokottarvadin was one offshoot. Here you see Sammitya. Okay, the very same way Lokottarvadin was there. And from here you see Thavirvad and Sarvastivadin. Here you see Yogacharya and Madhyamika. So here we are talking about Sarvasti Vadin. So Sautantrika are coming from here. That is the chart. Okay. Clarity है अभी? चले. So this statement is incorrect. Again, see, you can see we are talking about 2017 question paper, and here also they have gone into such depth when it comes to Buddhism. So this is a topic where you cannot skip the details. That is something that you have to study. Okay. So coming here to the second statement. First is wrong. Sarvasti Vadin held that the constituents of phenomenon were not wholly momentary but existed forever in a latent form. What do we mean by this statement? Something which is always existing. So momentary नहीं है कुछ भी. हर चीज जो है वो पहले भी एग्जिस्ट करती थी. एवरीथिंग हैज एग्जिस्टेड इन द पास्ट एज वेल, present as well, and it will exist in future as well. And this is a philosophy which Sarvastivadins believe in. So this is going to be a right statement. You can write it in a very simplified manner if you want to, that everything exists in past, present, and future. So here they are asking which of the statements given above are correct. So first statement is incorrect because they are sects of Buddhism. Second is right. So our answer will be B only. B, 2 only. Now again here also you can see sites of economic importance. They have asked a question on that. Which one of the following was a very important seaport in the Kakatiya kingdom? See, when we are talking about these dynasties, you might not study about it in class, but you can see the pattern that Yadavas, Kakatiyas, and Hoysalas, they are constantly asking questions about them related to important sites or related to important kings. So at least you should know the chronology. जो हमने लिखा भी है पहले वाली क्लास में. You should know about the important sites. Okay, so here again in 17 also they have asked you about the important seaports in Kakatiya kingdom. What they have given in the option: Kakinada, Motipalli, Masulipattnam, or it was known as Machilipatnam, and Nelluru. Which one is the important seaport in the Kakatiya kingdom? Do you know which state are they located in? All of these are in Andhra Pradesh. Kakinada, Motupalli, Masulipattnam, and Nelluru. So write it, all of these are in Andhra Pradesh, because see, they are important seaports. So they are asking you about sites and to match it with right states. So you should know which state do they belong to. So they are in the state of Andhra Pradesh. Our answer here is Motupalli. Okay, so corrected ticket B is going to be our right answer. It was a very factual question. So here, if you knew it, you could have corrected it. Otherwise, there was no clue which was given. See, you can see the pattern is more or less the same. So UPSC is giving you a very clear hint what to focus upon and what to leave out. Now it's up to you whether you understand the pattern or not. Because if you look at people who are preparing for ancient art and culture, they keep mugging things mindlessly. And that doesn't help. Even so, you will feel that you have understood history. You know the basics, but you will not be able to correct it because you are not going into depth. So that is a clear-cut problem here. When we will discuss about mains question paper, there also I'll give you a few themes and you will see that questions are revolving around those themes only. Okay, so you have to be very mindful of what you are studying and how you are studying. That is something that you need to keep in mind, and history is a subject which can be tackled with ease if you are being a bit logical in your preparation here. So remember these sites, they are sites of economic importance present in the state of Andhra Pradesh. Now let's look at the next question. The painting of Bodhisattva Padampani is one of the most famous and often illustrated paintings at Ajanta, Badami, Bagh, Ellora. Have you seen that painting Bodhisattva Padampani? आपके एनसीईआरटी में भी है. बोधिसत्व पदमपाणि कौन है? We talked about Bodhisattva yesterday. Bodhisattva is a being who is capable of achieving nirvana but holds it to help other people reach that stage. So there was again one question which we discussed today only, Maitreya Buddha. That is future Buddha. One of the ways to depict Maitreya Buddha is by laughing Buddha. When we are talking about the painting of Bodhisattva Padampani, it is a very famous depiction at Ajanta. So you will see that Bodhisattva holding a lotus. So Bodhisattva Padam is the Sanskrit word for lotus. So holding a lotus. So Padampani Buddha, or the same name has been given to Avalokiteshvara, Lokeshvara. All of them are identical with each other. Avalokiteshvara, Tara, Lokeshvara and Padampani. The area will differ. किस एरिया में आप बात कर रहे हैं वहां पे नाम चेंज हो जाएगा. तिब्बत में जा रहे हैं तो तारा बुद्धा हो जाएगा. नॉर्थ में जा रहे हैं, चाइना के कुछ पार्ट्स में जा रहे हैं, अवलोकितेश्वर हो जाएगा. तिब्बत नॉट तिब्बत, थाईलैंड जा रहे हैं तो वहां पे आपको लोकेश्वर हो जाएगा. आप डेक्कन में आ रहे हैं वहां पे पदमपाणि हो जाएगा. आप जो उसके साथ में एसोसिएटेड सिंबल देखते हैं, जो आइडिया देखते हैं, दैट रिमेन्स दी सेम. द आइडिया ऑफ कंपैशन, द वर्च्यू ऑफ कंपैशन. वी डिस्कस्ड paramitas yesterday. So what are the perfection that one needs to attain? When we are talking about perfection here, Padampani or Avalokiteshvara is achieving perfection in dana, that is the giving, that is compassion. Okay, so this is a very famous depiction at Ajanta. Now when we are talking about Ajanta, where is it located? We have discussed it time and again. See, again sites are more or less the same. You can see that they are revolving around certain sites only. वो भी अगर आपको एक बार समझ में आ गया क्या साइट के ऊपर फोकस कर रहे हैं. आप देखें अजंता, बादामी, एलोरा, बाग, they are being repeated again and again. So you need to identify the pattern here. Where is Ajanta located? Maharashtra. Which philosophy or religion is it associated with? अजंता is Buddhism. वहां पे सिर्फ हमको बुद्धिज्म मिलता है. बादामी देख लेते हैं बाकी ऑप्शंस भी कहां हैं, कौन से रिलीजियस सेक्ट से अफिलिएशन है. बादामी इज इन कर्नाटक. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट चालुक्य. सो व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट बादामी, व्हाट इज द रिलीजियस अफिलिएशन देयर? वेसर स्टाइल का. व्हेन यू स्टडी द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ वेसर टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर स्टाइल, यू गो टू बादामी. And there we talk about cave temples and then structural temples. So there are 4 cave temples that we talk about. First one is dedicated to Shaivism. Second one is dedicated to Harihara, that is Shiva and Vishnu. Third one again Shiva. Fourth one dedicated to Jainism. So Jain Tirthankars have been depicted there. I told you in one of the classes that when you are talking about the state of Karnataka, by logic remember it that presence of Jainism is going to be there because of the importance of the site of Shravanabela Gol. So it's a very important state when it comes to Jainism, and historically Jainism has been present in that state. So when we are talking about Badami, I told you there are 4 cave temples dedicated to Shiva, Shiva and Vishnu. Again Shiva. Fourth one is dedicated to Jainism. There are 3 structural temples dedicated to Shiva. Shaivism is prominent, but Vaishnavism and Jainism also exist. Okay, so the site of Badami is associated with Shaivism prominently, but presence of Vaishnavism and Jainism is also there. तो इन तीनों में से कोई भी आपको आए एग्जाम में बादामी के साथ में लिखा हुआ, that will be a right statement. Okay. Bagh. Where is Bagh located? Madhya Pradesh. And why this particular site is famous? Buddhism. Okay, and there you also find some of these secular paintings. So if I remember it correctly, cave number 8, cave number 8, that is known as Rangamahal. So there you will find a lot of paintings related to daily lives of people. So this particular site is very prominent when we talk about religious affiliation with Buddhism, but a lot of scenes from common life is also depicted there. Okay, so remember this site. This is also a very important site known for paintings particularly. Now coming to the next option, Ellora, very common site in Maharashtra, related with Hinduism, Buddhism as well as Jainism. Okay, so there are various caves dedicated to all these three religious philosophies. ये clear है आपको point? Just remember these sites. These 4 sites are again very important for India's cultural history. Okay. Now let's look at the 5th question. Consider the following pairs: traditions and communities. So you will see that in last year also we are discussing 2017. In 18 also they had given traditions and states. So here when we are going to questions prior to 2019, they are asking you about traditions as well. Okay, that was also one thing which was being asked about. Now they are not asking questions on that post 2019. So I told you from 2019 you will see a shift. When we are discussing ancient art and culture, I am going back to 14, 13 questions also. Reason being that this area has become very important. अगर आप इसके क्वेश्चंस पुराने भी देखेंगे तो हो सकता है पैटर्न आपके लिए बहुत रेलेवेंट ना हो, बट साइट्स तो मोर और लेस सिमिलर ही है ना जो पूछ रहे हैं, so you will be better prepared. Okay, when we are talking about modern, we will discuss till 1918 because pattern has changed after that and number of questions are 4, 3. तो आप उसको उस तरीके से समझ सकते हैं क्या इंपॉर्टेंट है, उसके हिसाब से हमको PYQs भी करने हैं. चले, what they are asking, consider the following pairs, look at the traditions and communities. Chaliha Sahib festival, Sindhis, is it correctly matched? Have you heard of Jhulelal? So Sindhis worship Jhulelal, and Chaliha Sahib festival is a 40-day festival which is celebrated by Sindhi community worshipping Jhulelal. So this is a right tradition. See, anyway a lot of festivals keep taking place. So keep a note of it, because as aware citizens also we should know about these traditions which are existing in different parts of country. अभी recently गणगौर festival राजस्थान 2-3 दिन पहले आप देखेंगे, गुड़ी पर्व महाराष्ट्र जो फर्स्ट डे सेलिब्रेट किया जाता है. So in different states there are different traditions and we should know about that in general also. So this is a right statement. Now Nandaraj Jat Yatra that has been given with Gonds. Gond is a tribal community, but this is a particular yatra which is associated with Garhwali community from Uttarakhand. It is a 3 weeks yatra. So if you go to Uttarakhand, you will find that there are 2 divisions. One is Kumaon and one is Garhwal. So it is associated with Garhwali community. अगर मान लीजिए उत्तराखंड दिया है सिर्फ तो उसके साथ में हो जाएगा. Community दिया है, if they have given Kumayuni, that will be a wrong statement because their cultural traditions are different from Garhwalis. Both of them belong to the state of Uttarakhand only. Okay, so here just write it down that it is not a tradition of Gonds, it is a tradition of Garhwali people from Uttarakhand. Now third, Vari Varkari, Santhal. Santhal again a tribal group which were converted into agriculturalists when we are talking about British period, and when they are settling tribals as agriculturalists, prominently they were tribal people. They replaced Paharias and they started practicing agriculture themselves. So you study about Santhal Hul or Santhal rebellion against British Raj. So these are not the people who are celebrating Vari Varkari. It is a very famous tradition of Maharashtra where they worship Vitthal, a form of Vishnu. So when you talk about the state of Maharashtra, there again Vaishnavism was very prominent when we are talking about Bhakti movement, and in Vaishnavism also Vitthal form of Vishnu. And Vara Varkari is again a yatra which is taking place even today in contemporary times, that is related to, that is tracing its history back to Bhakti movement. Okay, so it is in the state of Maharashtra, not belonging to Santhal people. मराठी लोगों से associated है, मराठा cultural identity के साथ में associated है. ठीक है, clear है ये? So which of the pairs given above are correctly matched? वन ओनली, जो हमारा चालीहा साहिब फेस्टिवल है, विच इज ऑफ सिंधीज, बिकॉज नंदराज जाट यात्रा एंड वरवरकारी हैज बीन मैच्ड विद डिफरेंट कम्युनिटीज हियर. Now let's come to the next question. Which of the following are famous for sun temples? Arasavalli, Amarkantak, Omkareshwar. सन टेम्पल के लिए कौन फेमस है? Do you know which state are these sites located in? Amarkantak is in Madhya Pradesh. Why is it famous? Narmada Kund. It is famous for Narmada Kund. When we are talking about Arasavalli, that is in Andhra Pradesh, and there is a sun temple located there. It is famous for that. They are asking us about sun temples only. So a very famous sun temple is located in Arasavalli. See, there are not a lot of sun temples which are present in India. So that is why they focus a lot upon sun temples. अभी आप इस साल में देखें तो कोणार्क sun temple, that became very famous because of the wheels that were used as a symbol in G20. तो वो हमारा sun temple है. If you go to Gujarat, again there is a sun temple located there. When we are going to Arasavalli, again there is a sun temple located in the state of Andhra Pradesh. So यहाँ पे साइट के साथ में स्टेट भी लिख लें, आंध्र प्रदेश, फेमस फॉर सन टेम्पल. अमरकंटक, मध्य प्रदेश, फेमस फॉर नर्मदा कुंड, नॉट सन टेम्पल. ओमकारेश्वर, वाई इज इट फेमस? शिव, ओमकार शिव का नाम है. सो इट इज वन ऑफ द ज्योतिर्लिंगस एज वेल. एक और सोमनाथ से ज्योतिर्लिंग वाला क्वेश्चन पूछा था, यहां भी आप देखेंगे ज्योतिर्लिंग से क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा है. ठीक है. सो इट इज अ फेमस साइट रिलेटेड टू शैविज्म प्रेजेंट इन द स्टेट ऑफ मध्य प्रदेश, एंड इट इज ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द ज्योतिर्लिंगस प्रेजेंट इन इंडिया. सो सिलेक्ट द करेक्ट आंसर यूजिंग द कोड गिवन बिलो. हमारा पहला वाला ये सिर्फ सही है, बाकी नर्मदा कुंड और ज्योतिर्लिंग की वजह से फेमस है. सो ए विल बी आवर राइट आंसर, वन ओनली. Okay. See, so that is covered in the class only, na? Why do we take classes? I don't know what to say now. That is the point of taking a class. You can read NCERT on your own. These will not be given in NCERT. Why? NCERT is meant for school students. जब यूपीएससी पूछ रही है आपसे क्वेश्चन, तो यूपीएससी एनसीईआरटी को एज अ सोर्स उठा रही है. एनसीईआरटी वाज नॉट रिटन बाय आर एस शर्मा और सतीश चंद्रा टू केटर टू यूपीएससी. It was written to cater to school students. So of course UPSC will go into a lot of depth. Why we recommend students to read NCERT? Because they don't have a basic understanding of history itself. That is why we recommend them to read NCERT. Now with history, what the problem is, and the same problem pertains with geography also, that not a very good book is available. If there is a book, it is going into a lot of depth. So you can cover certain topics from there, you can't read the whole book. When it comes to history, the problem is even grave. Ancient के लिए उपिंदर सिंह आप पढ़ नहीं सकते, 1000 पन्नों की किताब है, क्या पढ़ेंगे, क्या रिवाइज करेंगे, क्या याद रखेंगे? That is why classes become instrumental here, specifically when it comes to ancient history and art and culture. So that is the only way in which you can actually cover the lot of details, because you have looked at the question paper of prelims. If you look at the question paper of mains, again they are going into a lot of analytical depth. So that is the way. Cover it, whatever we are discussing here. चले अगला पढ़ते हैं. क्या है हमारा सवाल? 7th. With reference to Manipuri Sankirtan, consider the following statements. So Manipuri Sankirtan. Sankirtan is the term which is used here. Again, it seems that it is related to bhakti only, because Sankirtan is the term. Kirtan bhakti के साथ में, devotion के साथ में associated होता है. Let's read these statements. It is a song and dance performance. Yes, it is a song and dance performance. So it's a ritual singing and dancing performance. Okay, and it is enlisted by UNESCO as well as a living tradition of India. So it is a very prominent cultural tradition from India. UPSC is also asking about prominent cultural tradition, not every tradition. So this is a right statement. Cymbals are the only musical instrument used in the performance. They also use drums. They also use other musical instruments. So this is a wrong statement. एक ऐसे करके ऐसे बजाने वाला आपने शायद देखा होगा भजन में, ऐसे करके होता है जो हाथ से ऐसे करके बजाते हैं, पकड़ के ऐसे गोल गोल सा यहाँ से होता है. So that is called cymbals. That is not the only musical instruments. They also beat drums. Okay. So this is a wrong statement. It is performed to narrate the life and deeds of Lord Krishna. This is a right statement. If you go to Manipur, you will find that Vaishnavism is very prominent, and specifically Krishna Bhakti. So if you look at Manipuri dance also, that is one of the classical dance. So if you look at Manipuri dance also, there also you will see that they are narrating the Krishna Leela, the stories related to the love of Radha and Krishna. So in that area, Krishna becomes very prominent. Okay, so this is also Manipuri Sankirtan is also narrating the life and deeds of Krishna related to Vaishnavism. So this is a right statement. Now when we are talking about Manipuri Sankirtan, in some parts of Tripura, in some parts of Assam also it is performed. क्योंकि cultural zone तो पहले same ही रहा है ना, division बाद में हुआ है states का. So you will find that in some parts of Tripura also it is performed, in some parts of Assam also it is performed, but prominently it remains in Manipur. Okay, clear है ये? Which of the statements given above are correct? So here second one is wrong, 1 and 3 only will be our answer. They had asked 7 questions here. If you look at it, one was from difference between Harappans and Aryans. Second, Buddhism. Third, sites. Fourth, again, sites, Buddhism. Fifth, tradition. Then again, important sites, cultural importance. Seventh, cultural tradition. तो बहुत political से पहले भी नहीं पूछते थे. ये एक बहुत मिथ रहता है स्टूडेंट्स में कि हम political history पढ़ लें, हिस्ट्री हो जाएगी. राजे रजवाड़ों से इतर इतिहास और भी है, वो चीज आपको क्वेश्चन पेपर में भी दिखेगा. इकोनॉमिक और कल्चरल इंपॉर्टेंस से ही जुड़ी हुई चीजें आपको पहले भी पूछी जा रही थी. वी हैव कम टिल 2017 and here also you will see cultural history was even important in 2017. We will discuss, we are planning to discuss till 2012 or I'll go till 11. तो वो हम देख लेंगे एक बार, specifically in ancient art and culture, because most of you are not aware of these details. तो हम उसको इसलिए कवर कर रहे हैं कि कुछ चीजें आपकी यहाँ पे कवर हो जाएं. ठीक है, तो इसमें भी आप देखेंगे 11 तक में भी कल्चरल हिस्ट्री बहुत ज्यादा डोमिनेट कर रही थी यूपीएससी के पेपर्स को. चले, ये क्लियर है. 16 स्टार्ट करें. In the context of the history of India, consider the following pairs terms. Again here look at it, they have asked you about terms. Term description. So Eripatti, what does it mean? Do you know about it? So it is the description, it is given land revenue from which was set apart for the maintenance of the village tank. So it is right, and this land was being donated by individuals, not by the state. So what used to happen at village level, you will see that there are people who were capable enough to donate that kind of land. They were donating the land. Now there was a village tank. So what was happening, the land which was donated, see when we excavate a tank, it also needs maintenance, and for that maintenance you need wealth. So there was a specific type of land which was set apart from which the revenue was collected and it was being used in the maintenance of the tank. Okay. If historically you look at it, you find the reference of Sudarshan Lake, which was being reconstructed and repaired by Rudradaman. So built by one of the Mauryan officers, repaired by Rudradaman, and later in Gupta period also you will see it was repaired again. So it was an initiative of the state. Here you see that people were also maintaining village tank at local level, and there not everybody can donate, but people who can donate, they were donating the land. So for that kind of land, the term is used eripatti. Okay, again land, economic term. विलेज टैंक को मेंटेन क्यों कर रहे हैं? फॉर एग्रीकल्चरल पर्पस. ओके, सो I told you the terms related to economic importance, terms related to cultural importance, that is being asked. So this is the right statement. Now taniyurs, what do we mean by taniyurs? Villages donated to a single Brahmin or a group of Brahmins. क्या उसको तनियूर कहते थे हम? ये तो बहुत बेसिक है. ब्रह्मदेय. Brahmadeya was the land which was given to a single Brahmin or a group of Brahmins, not Taniyur. Again, see, here you need to know about the terms, क्योंकि आपको एक confusion ये भी हो सकता है कि आप पता ब्रह्मदेय के अलावा उसको तनियूर भी कहते हो. That can be a problem. So that is why you should focus upon terms a lot. So what do we mean by taniyur, right? Land or revenue units under cholas. और ये जो है इसको हम कहते हैं ब्रह्मदेय. Ghatika or Ghantashala is also the term which is used for it. Colleges generally attached to the temples. It was also a port, that is also a term which is used here. Okay, so that is colleges generally attached to the temple. So again, land grants which were given to maintain that institutions. Colleges should not be the term, institutions, educational institutions should be the term that we use. You will find various kind of land donations. For example, Palli Chandanam is one kind of land which was given to Jain institutions. Here we are talking about Ghatikas given to temples. Shala Bhog, again a kind of land given to educational institutions. So all these terms become very important. Okay, so here if you look at the answer, which of the pairs given above are correctly matched? 1 and 3. D is going to be our answer. Now second, with reference to the cultural history of India, with reference to the cultural history of India, the memorizing of chronicles, dynastic histories and epic tales was the profession of which one of the following? Shraman, Parivrajak, Agraharikas, Magadhas. What will be our answer? With reference to cultural history of India, again cultural history पूछ रहे हैं. Memorizing of chronicles, dynastic histories and epic tales. किसका profession था? They were seekers. So we have discussed two of these terms in previous class. Shraman, that is seeker, that is an ascetic. So this is not going to be the answer. Parivrajak, renunciant, wanderers. So that is also not going to be our answer. Agraharikas. We have studied the term agrahar, a land grant. So that means agraharika will be the person who looks after that land which has been given in charity. It was given to Brahmins. Brahmadeya and Agrahara, both kind of land grants were given to Brahmins. Okay, so when we are talking about this land grant, this particular term, so Agraharikas were maintaining the Agrahara land grant. So this will also not be the right statement. Basic अगर आपको Agrahara term याद है, तो आप उससे इसको solve कर सकते हैं कि Agraharika भी नहीं होगा. Okay, so the answer we are left with Magadha. That and also see there are a few terms. Sut, इसके साथ में लिख लीजिए Sut. S-U-T is Sut. Bhat. When you go to Rajasthan, the term is Bhat or Charan. Bhat, Charan. जिसको अभी चरण कह देते हैं. कई लोग आप राजस्थान से देखेंगे कई लोग का सरनेम चरण होता है. That comes from Charan. So those were the people who were memorizing the chronicles, dynastic histories, and they were reciting it before various people. So all these terms are related with people whose profession was memorizing the chronicles, dynastic histories or epic tales. आप राजस्थान में जाएं तो पढ़ करके ट्रेडिशन है जहाँ पे वहां का जो कल्चरल ट्रेडिशन है उससे जुड़ी हुई कहानियां, वो बहुत बड़ा ऐसे कपड़े जैसा होता है, जैसे बहुत लंबी सी चादर जैसा समझ लें, और उसके ऊपर वो पूरा कहानी नैरेटेड होता है. सो दीज आर द पीपल हु एक्चुअली इलैबोरेट अपॉन दोज स्टोरीज इन ओरल फॉर्म. सो ऑल दीज टर्म्स, मागध, सूत, भाट, चारण, दैट इज रिलेटेड विद दिस पर्टिकुलर प्रोफेशन. ठीक है, क्लैरिटी है. तो रिमेंबर दी एडिशनल टर्म्स एज वेल, अगर आगे जाके आपसे पूछें तो आपको मालूम हो उस चीज के बारे में. सो डी इज गोइंग टू बी आवर आंसर. क्लैरिटी है इसमें? हाँ. हम्म. But their profession is to teach the Vedas, na? See, they can do it, but what is the designated profession? When we talk about ancient India, see, there is one thing which is a normative tradition, designated profession, and there is one which people are actually doing. So if you look at the Shastric tradition, in Shastric tradition, what is said? That a Brahmin should study the Vedas, teach the Vedas, and do the sacrifices. A Kshatriya should protect the people, rule. When we are talking about Vaishyas, they should be engaged in production process. Shudras to serve the upper three varnas. A very problematic division, but that has been there. But look at the history. This is the norm. Norm क्या है? जो करना चाहिए. Something that should be done. What is exactly happening? Was it always similar to the norm? If you look at, let's say, Mauryas, very humble origin. Guptas, Vaishya. A lot of kings who are establishing very powerful empires, they did not belong to Kshatriya community. So that is something which is being questioned as well. So in norm, their profession was to teach the Vedas. Some of them might be remembering the dynastic histories as well. जब हम बात कर रहे हैं, देखिए यहाँ पे एक चीज ये समझे कि क्रिएट करने वाला और सुनाने वाले में फर्क होता है. When you are talking about creating dynastic history, that was the task that was prominently given to a priestly class, because that is what is showing the interrelationship between Brahmin and the Kshatriya community, who is going to go to the people and to tell them stories. So these are the terms which are associated with that. क्योंकि लोगों, राजा को क्या करना है? अपनी ग्लोरी लोगों तक पहुंचानी है, तो उसके लिए वो इन लोगों को डेजिग्नेट करेगा. ठीक है, क्लैरिटी है. चलें, थर्ड. Which of the following had first deciphered the edicts of Emperor Ashok? George Buhler, James Prinsep, Max Muller, William Jones. Who are these people? James Prinsep deciphered Kharoshti as well as Brahmi script. Let's look at these people. कौन है ये? क्योंकि अब इस तरीके के सवालों पर भी आपको पूछा जा रहा है. तो कौन है जॉर्ज बुहलर? Who is George Buhler? Our answer is B, James Prinsep, who deciphered Kharoshti as well as Brahmin. जॉर्ज बुहलर कौन है? All of these people are related with the literary studies. Be it George Buhler, be it James Prinsep, be it Max Muller, or be it William Jones. See, when we are talking about 18th century and parts of 19th century prominently, there was not a clear-cut division between who is an archaeologist, who is a numismatist, who is an art historian. These people were Orientalists. The basic term that is used is Orientalist. Somebody who is studying the Orient. Orient कौन है? East. East के लिए term use किया जाता था Orient. So they will study the history of China, they will study the history of Japan, they will study the history of India or various other countries which are situated in East. So the better term to use for them will be Orientalist, not archaeologists or numismatists, क्योंकि ये कई सारी चीजों से डील कर रहे हैं. Just write the time period as well. George Buhler 1837 to 1898. ये हम क्यों बोल रहे हैं लिखने के लिए? आप इसका लॉजिक है, आपको ये समझ में आएगा 19th सेंचुरी. ठीक है. अब अगर कभी आपसे ये पूछ दिया, इफ दे आर, सो दिस पर्टिकुलर पर्सन इज बिलोंगिंग टू 19th century. Now, if it has been given who worked on Indus Valley Civilization, and they have given you 4 names. So Indus Valley Civilization is, the discovery of Indus Valley Civilization is announced in 1924. So 1924, that means 20th century. अगर ये इंसान 19th century में इसकी डेथ हो गई तो उस पर तो काम नहीं किया होगा, तो इसलिए हम आपको ये टाइम पीरियड दे रहे हैं, इससे आपको आसानी होगी. So George Bohler, when we talk about George Bohler, he is somebody who published the English translation, उसमें लिखे published translation of the oldest Prakrit dictionary. Published translation of oldest Prakrit dictionary. डैश करके नाम लिख लें, PAI. क्या है वो प्राकृत डिक्शनरी का नाम? संस्कृत में तो हमको पता है अष्टाध्यायी है, अमरकोश है, पतंजलि का महाभाष्य है. प्राकृत की बात कर रहे हैं तो उसमें भी हमको ये अवेलेबल है, PAI YALA CHI NAMA Payala China Mamala. Okay, that is the name of the Prakrit dictionary. So George Bohler is credited with this. Now coming to James Prinsep, इनका लिखे 1799 to 1840. 1799 to 1840. So he died in 1840. That means first half of 19th century. So if somebody tells you कि Indus Valley पे काम किया है, that is wrong, because he died in 1840. Indus Valley का discovery announce हो रहा है 1924. Okay, so he is somebody who has deciphered Kharoshti and Brahmi script. Max Muller. So none of these people have worked on Indus Valley. सब 19th century के ही आपको मिलेंगे. Max Muller, 1823 to 1900. नाइनटीन्थ सेंचुरी. इनके साथ में क्या है, सेक्रेड बुक्स ऑफ द ईस्ट, अंग्रेजी ट्रांसलेशन इन्होंने भी पब्लिश किया. ही पब्लिश्ड वेरियस इंग्लिश ट्रांसलेशंस ऑफ लिटरेरी रिलीजियस लिटरेरी वर्क्स ऑफ इंडिया. सेक्रेड बुक्स ऑफ द ईस्ट क्या क्या है इसमें? ट्रांसलेशंस ऑफ वेद, उपनिषद, गीता एटसेट्रा. And it is one of the earliest translations, earliest English translations, etc. Now William Jones, 1746 to 1794, 18th century. 1746 to 1794. इनके साथ में क्या क्रेडिटेड है? एशियाटिक सोसाइटी ऑफ कैलकाटा 1784. मुंबई आप जाएंगे, एशियाटिक सोसाइटी ऑफ मुंबई 1804. Here he founded the Asiatic Society of Calcutta 1784. Another thing that is credited to him is English translation of Manav Dharam Shastra, popularly known as Manusmriti. English translation of Manav Dharam Shastra, popularly known as Manusmriti. अभी इसका जो recent translation आया है, that is by Patrick Olivelle, a fellow a very prominent scholar of ancient Indian history who works in University of Texas. तो ये सबसे recent translation है. जो सबसे oldest translation है, that is by William Jones. मानव धर्म शास्त्र, popularly known as Manusmriti, and Geet Govind. Geet Govind, again it's a very prominent text when we talk about our early medieval period. Geet Govind किसने लिखी है? जयदेव. Geet Govind, Jayadev. So if you look at the love story of Radha and Krishna and their life, it is starting prominently with Geet Govind, and that is why this particular text becomes very important in the cultural history of India. After Jayadeva's Geet Govind, other poets have taken inspiration from this particular story and they have composed a lot of texts. So Jayadev remains a pioneer in writing on this particular theme. Okay, so that is why this is very important. And you will see Krishna Bhakti and his love stories become very prominent in cultural history and memory of India. तो इसका भी अंग्रेजी ट्रांसलेशन सबसे पहले पब्लिश किया था विलियम जोन्स ने. तो ये टेक्स्ट भी याद रखिएगा, गीत गोविंद बाई जयदेव. ठीक है, क्लैरिटी है इस पे. आवर आंसर इज जेम्स प्रिंसेप. वी हैव लुक्ड एट द कंट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ अदर फेलोज एज वेल. Which one of the following books of ancient India has the love story of the son of the founder of Shunga dynasty? Swapna Vasavdatta, Malavikagnimitra, Meghdut, Ratnavali. So they also wanted you to know about the basic details of these texts. Which one of the following books of ancient India has the love story of the son of the founder of Shunga dynasty? Who was the founder of Shunga dynasty? Pushyamitra Shunga. Who was his son? अग्निमित्र. अगर वो पता है, थोड़ी सी संस्कृत आती है, मालविका प्लस अग्निमित्र, संधि होके मालविका अग्निमित्र. So that is the love story that this particular text tells you about the love story of Agnimitra and Malavika. So this is the right answer. Who composed Malavika Agnimitra? Kalidas. So Kalidas has taken inspiration from a lot of historical narratives and has composed various texts. One of the texts being Malavika Agnimitra. When we talk about the language, all the 4 texts have been composed in Sanskrit. ठीक है, अब एक एक करके इनको भी देख लेते हैं क्या टेक्स्ट है. स्वप्न वासवदत्ता. हु कंपोज्ड इट? नहीं 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 नहीं, सारे संस्कृत लैंग्वेज में. हु कंपोज्ड स्वप्न वासवदत्ता? भास. राइट, भास. इट्स अगेन अ वेरी प्रोमिनेंट टेक्स्ट फ्रॉम एंशिएंट इंडिया. What is the story of Swapna Vasavdatta? Mahajanpad period mein you must have studied about a king named Udayan. He was a very interesting fellow, not from Magad. So not a lot of things are known about this fellow named Udayan, but it seems he seems to have inspired the imagination of different poets which were yet to come. So if you look at Swapna Vasavdatta, it was composed by Bhas and it is a love story of Udayan and Vasavdatta. So Vasavdatta sees Udayan in her dreams and Udayan also sees her in his dreams, and now he goes on a search. Who is this woman? And there is a whole turbulence and trials, and finally he meets Vasavdatta. They fall in love. She tells her कि मैंने सपने में देखा था. उसने बोला मैंने भी तुमको देखा था. They get married and live happily until he falls in love again. So the other story that we are going to look at again, that is also a love story of Udayan only with another woman. So Ratnavali, composed by Harsha. Ratnavali is a love story of the same king Udayan with another woman, Ratnavali. सातवाहन पीरियड में भी आपको उदयन की लव स्टोरीज मिल जाएंगी. Now what is left? मेघदूत. That is by कालिदास. मेघदूत का स्टोरी क्या है? Do you know it or should I tell you? What is the story of Meghdut? So there is this exiled Yaksha who is sent in an exile, and from there when he wants to communicate with his lover. So today we have WhatsApp, we have email, we can do all these things, but when we are talking about these times, these people did not have that access to technology. So what he is doing, आप देखेंगे यहाँ पे क्या use किया जाता है as messenger. Prominently you will see that they will use the symbol of air, कि हवा एक जगह से दूसरे जगह जाती है, बादल एक जगह से दूसरे जगह जाता है. So he is making a megh, cloud, the messenger, and through which he is sending his thoughts and his ideas or whatever he wants to say to his lover. तो मेघ को दूत बनाया, इसलिए इसका नाम क्या रख दिया? मेघदूत. And in the end they do get reunited. So Swapna Vasavdatta, Bhas. Malavikagnimittra, Kalidas. Meghdut, Kalidas. Ratnavali, Harsh. All of them are composed in Sanskrit. Clarity है इस पे? चले, our answer is Malavikagnimittra. Next question. With reference to the cultural history of medieval India, again they are asking you about cultural history. With reference to the cultural history of medieval India, consider the following statements. Siddha or Sittar of Tamil region were monotheistic and condemned idolatry. Is it a right statement or wrong? These are people from Tamil region. They were monotheistic and they believed in the cult of Shiva. And they believed Shiva is the only identity, only divine identity who has created everything. And they did condemn idolatry. So this is a right statement. They are from Tamil region. No, they are the Siddha and Sittar. सिंधी आर डिफरेंट, वो तो सिंध से जो आए हैं, वो जियोग्राफी के बेसिस पे उनका है. ये सिद्ध क्या है, जो सिद्ध हो गए हैं. बोथ द मीनिंग्स आर डिफरेंट. दैट इज सिंधी एंड दिस इज सिद्ध, द पे ध. ठीक है. लिंगायत्स ऑफ कन्नड़ रीजन क्वेश्चनड द थ्योरी ऑफ रीबर्थ एंड रिजेक्टेड द कास्ट हायरार्की. इज इट राइट स्टेटमेंट और रॉन्ग? भक्ति मूवमेंट में आपने लिंगायत के बारे में पढ़ा होगा. डू यू नो अबाउट इट? They were Shaivite, but what is different with them? Why they are important? Lingayats are very important in contemporary times as well. Do I need to talk about it in detail? Okay, so when we are talking about Lingayats, they are also known as the Veerashaivas, and today if you look at Karnataka region, there is a sizable population which is calling themselves Lingayat. And in contemporary times, they were demanding for a minority status because they said that we are not following these practices which are prominently present in Hinduism or which was prominently present in Vedic religion. So this was the argument on which they were asking for a minority status. Okay. Now, when we go back to the history of Lingayats, Basavanna is the person who founded the Lingayat community. He was present in the court of Kalachuri. What is the time period? 1106 Basavanna, 1106 to 1168. So we are talking about 12th century, and it was a very revolutionary movement. If you look at it, I'll just give you two. So they were composing their teachings in Kannada language. Okay, so these are the people who are condemning the problems present in Hindu religion at that point of time. Bhakti movement का ही part है in Karnataka region. You will see that their teachings were compiled as शून्य संपादने. जब आप बात करते हैं कृष्णदेव राय की, उस वक्त में it was compiled as शून्य संपादने in Kannada language. So there are two hymns that there are you should say two vachan term use करते थे वो अपने दोहों के लिए. So there are two vachanas. I am going to give you the translation, English translation of that, and you can understand how they were questioning every prominent problem which was there in the society. There is one vachan where there is a person from cobbler community. So you can understand a person who was considered untouchable in general. He is composing a vachan and he is referring to the God. What are you looking at me for? You have to work for your own prasad. So in a society where donation was so prominent, dana was so prominent, a person who is belonging to a cobbler community is asking the God to work for his own prasad. That is the kind of revolutionary ideas that Lingayat community was propagating. The second I'll give you from a woman, coming from a woman. She is writing, you say that I am impure because of the menstrual blood. Tell me who was not born of that. So again, a very revolutionary statement, a very revolutionary vachan that she is producing. If you look at even present times, people often do not talk about menstruation, and we are talking about 12th 13th century where this kind of vachan was being composed. Sairi Amma is the name of the woman who has composed it. So you can understand how revolutionary Lingayats were. Of course, with time, a lot of problems crept in Lingayat community as well, but for that particular time, it was way too much revolutionary. So they are rejecting theories of rebirth, they are rejecting the caste hierarchy, they are rejecting the problematic gender norms. That is why I gave you these two translations of that vachan, so that you can understand the revolutionary nature of Lingayats. So this is the right statement. They are saying that there is no birth, rebirth. Once you are dead, you reunite with Shiva. Then you are not born again. Okay. So that was their idea. So this is the right statement. Sayariamma. Sayamma. There are a lot of, you will see women bhakti saints during bhakti movement. So if you go to Tamil, you will find Karikal Ammayar, you will find Andal. When you are coming here, Sayariamma is one of the women. If you come to North में तो बहुत prominent है Mirabai. All of us have heard about Mirabai. You go to Kashmir, you will find Lal Ded. So there are a lot of female bhakti saints as well. If you go to Maharashtra, you will find Janabai. So ये सब important examples हैं which you should know about. क्योंकि भक्ति movement पे भी मेंस में question आता ही है. हर आप देखेंगे 3 साल पे एक बार repeat किया है question. So these are important names that you should know about. चले, is this clear? So here if we have to choose the right statement, it is both 1 and 2. C is going to be our answer. चले, next question पे आते हैं. We have repeatedly discussed it, so this question will not be a problem. Question number 6. With reference to the religious history of India, consider the following statements. The concept of Bodhisattva is central to Hinayan sect of Buddhism. It is central to Mahayana sect of Buddhism. We have discussed it already. We have discussed the concept of Bodhisattva, so there is no need to repeat it. So this is a wrong statement. Bodhisattva is a compassionate one on his way to enlightenment. It's right. He is holding it, but he is a compassionate being and he is capable of achieving Nirvana. So second is the right statement. Bodhisattva delays achieving his own salvation to help all sentient beings on their path to it. Again, we have discussed that the concept of Bodhisattva is this only. So this is also a right statement. Which of the statements given above are correct? B will be the right statement, 2 and 3, because 1 is incorrect. Bodhisattva का concept जो है, that is central to Mahayana. ये clear है? चलो. Let's look at the next question, the last question of 2016. What are common to the two historical places known as Ajanta and Mahabalipuram? Where is Ajanta located? Maharashtra. Where is Mahabalipuram located? Tamil Nadu, also known as Mamallapuram. Okay, so let's look at it, what they're talking about. Ajanta, prominently Vakataka dynasty, and Mahabalipuram, Pallav. That we know. So when we are talking about Pallavas, we are talking about 7th century. When we are talking about Ajanta, 7th century तक more or less खत्म हो जाता है यहाँ पे. From 2nd century BCE to 6th and early 7th century CE. That is the time period. Now let's look at the statements. Both were built in the same period. No. जब पल्लव शुरू कर रहे हैं महाबलीपुरम, तब अजंता में खत्म हो रही है चीज. So they do not belong to the same period. They were not built in the same period. This is wrong. Both belong to the same religious denomination. Is it true? When we are talking about Ajanta Buddhism, when we are talking about Mamallapuram or Mahabalipuram, prominently you will find Vaishnavism there, you will also find Shaivism there, you will also find some presence of Shakti there. So prominently Hinduism. If we have to give one term, that is Hinduism. Prominent sect is Vaishnavism. Okay, both have rock cut monuments. Yes. So in Ajanta we find rock cut caves. When we go to Mamallapuram we find rock cut caves there. We find rock cut temples there. That is Pancharatha, one of the earliest examples of rock cut temples. We find Great Penance relief there. Again, that is also rock cut structure. So third is the right statement. So select the correct answer using the code given below. 3 only is our answer. That means B. So 7 questions were asked. Let's look at the questions. What kind of questions were asked? First was term of economic importance. Second, term related to cultural importance. Third, again important culture ही है, यहाँ पे भी important ही, जो सारे individuals हैं, they are published, they are either deciphering a script or they are publishing books which are related to cultural history of India. Fourth, again literature, cultural history. Fifth, Bhakti movement. Sixth, again Buddhism, cultural history. Seventh, cultural history sites. तो पैटर्न आपको यहाँ पे 16 में भी वही दिख रहा है. Is this much clear? We can stop here and we can continue from tomorrow. 15 से पीछे का सारा जो है we can cover it tomorrow. ठीक है? If there is any doubt, you can ask or we can stop the class.